Right now that I've started the recording, I'm going to reintroduce myself for everybody who just joined in. I'm James with Ring Central, and today we're going to be going over the basics of using your new Avaya Cloud Office system. In your meeting controls, you can unmute yourself if you have questions at any point in today's training session. I've muted everyone by default just due to the number of participants that we have to minimize background noise. You can also ask questions via chat. If you look in your meeting controls, you'll see a chat icon. If you give that a click, you can send a message and ask any questions you'd like to from in there. I have that open on another monitor, so I'll see those questions as soon as they come in. Last thing for us to note are the viewing options. I'll be doing a lot of things on some presentations and live demonstrations today, so if my screen looks a little bit small to you, you can always go up into those viewing options and you can set me to full screen.
I think we can all do that fine, James. That looks good to me.
Great, thank you. After we wrap up our training today, we've got more information at onecare.avaya.com/Avaya Cloud Office. Your administrator will also have more resources for you after this completes. We're going to spend most of today just talking about the phone features that are available in your Avaya Cloud Office system. So the Avaya Cloud Office system is going to allow you to make and receive business calls from your desktop and your mobile phone. You'll be able to make and receive calls directly from your work number from either of these devices. I'll be showing you live demonstrations of the application today on Windows and Android, but if you happen to be on iOS or Mac, it shouldn't be that different. You can access your voicemails and faxes from anywhere. All of this is saved on the cloud. It's in the name of Avaya Cloud Office. So you'll be able to have your voicemails on the go or your fax on the go. You'll also be able to have a desk phone assigned. We'll take a look at those for anybody who might have those assigned as well. With the Avaya Cloud Office application, you can place and receive multiple calls. When you've got multiple calls ongoing, you can manage those active calls by merging them in with a current call, or you can end the call that you have on hold. The applications support up to 9 concurrent calls. As part of our live demonstrations, we'll show you how you can get multiple lines open up and you can place and receive multiple calls there. One other thing that we'll be talking about a little bit today are going to be call queues. Call queues, which you might also know by similar systems you've used in the past as hunt groups, are groups of users that receive calls. Those calls are placed into a queue until a representative becomes available. These call queues are configured by your administrator, and you can choose your queue availability status from the Avaya Cloud Office application. We'll go into a demo in a few minutes, but for now, once you get started up with the system and you get your activation, you can get some hands-on experience on your own by calling a colleague, practicing transferring those calls. Check your voicemail, leave a voicemail for somebody, check out the transcription feature, and then you can always test out call flip and call switch. Before we move into our demos, we're going to take a quick look at the desk phone that we have available, and then we're going to jump into our applications. Some users will be assigned the Avaya J169 desk or J179 desk phone, excuse me. We'll give a quick rundown of how this desk phone works, And then we'll go into the application for demonstration of the phone features. A lot of things are going to work the same between the application and the desk phone. There can be a few places where things might be a little bit different, but I'll make sure to key in on those once we get into the app. On your desk phone, you got a little light in the upper right-hand corner that'll light up when you have a voicemail or anything else on the screen that demands your attention. Line keys will be programmed via the heads-up display of the Avaya Cloud Office application. I'll show you how to program that once we get into our live demo. These line keys have LEDs that will show you the presence of the colleagues you have in there. Oh, let me swap my screen over to the right presentation. Here we go. Sorry about that. The phone key and the settings key are used to swap what you currently see on the front screen of the phone. So the phone key will always bring you back to the home screen of the phone that has all of your line appearances set up. Voicemail from the desk phone will always be accessed via your PIN. When you activate your account, you'll set up a PIN, and if you need to check things from the desk phone, you'll always have to use that PIN. When you're checking your voicemail from the desk phone, you'll also use touch tone dialing to do things like save or delete the voicemail. I prefer to check my voicemail from the applications. It's just very smooth and very convenient. The headset and speaker buttons can be used to answer the calls for those devices. And the mute key on this phone is context aware. It'll light up when a call is muted, so hopefully you don't ever get caught by surprise. Below the phone's main screen, the line appearances, you've got what are called soft keys. These are called soft keys because these are defined by software. Each key will show its current function directly above it on the screen. These functions will change depending on which screen of the phone you're on or if you're in an active call. The menu key here is the opposite of the phone key, so the phone key returns you back to your home screen that you see here, whereas the menu key opens up your menu appearances. You can add in contacts directly from the phone for programming speed dial. I'll also show you how you can manage the presence screen through your heads-up display as well. To make a call from your Avaya desk phone, you can start by either pressing New Call, you can lift the handset, or you can get a dial tone by pressing the headset or the speaker buttons. Then you can dial the number. To end the call, you can press End Call, you can hang up the handset, or you can press the speaker or headset key if you took the call that way. To answer a call, it's just about the same thing. You can lift up the handset, or you can tap either of the headset or speakerphone keys. You'll also be able to transfer calls from your desk phone. Desk phone supports both warm and cold transfers. The desk phone is going to show them to you as talk and now. Talk allows you to announce the call or to consult before you complete the transfer. You'll speak to the person before you transfer the call over to them. Now is going to be a cold or blind transfer, and it'll send the call off of your line right away. When you're transferring a call, you can either directly dial in a phone number or an extension, or you can search through your recents or any contacts you've saved on your phone.
Sorry, James, to interrupt. There's
Mhm.
a few people struggling to join the call. They're kind of just getting the load screen, no audio. Do you have any recommendations for them?
I don't have any specific troubleshooting just on the load screen. The best recommendation that I can give is to just maybe send them the direct link to the meeting v.ringcentral.com.
Okay.
and then have them join via web browser rather than via any application.
Okay, I'll try that. Thank you.
Sure. Would you like me to pause for a moment while folks get joined in, or should we keep on going with the desk phone and then swap over?
Yeah, I don't think these users will be having a desk phone, so please continue, if that's okay.
No worries. All right. The desk phone also supports transferring calls directly to voicemail. To do so, anytime you're doing a transfer, dial *0 before the extension number. So in this case, we're transferring over to extension 2405. So we've dialed *0 2405. This will send the call directly to that extension's voicemail, so it'll bypass any of their call handling and forwarding options, and the call will go directly to voicemail. Your desk phone will also support call parking. We'll show you how call parking works once we get into the live demonstration of our application. To park a call, you'll press More and then Park. The phone will then play a verbal announcement over the handset to you. It'll say something like, "Call parked at *802. Anyone who dials in that key combination can retrieve the call." So now that we've talked about the basics of our phone features, we're going to swap over to the desktop version of the Avaya Cloud Office application. Remember, I'm showing this to you today on Windows, but if you're on Mac, it should be very similar. The first thing that we're going to take a look at are going to be some settings that are useful for getting first time set up. So let's go through an orientation on the application first. Here, on the left-hand side of the app, we have all of the features that we need to access at any point. We're going to be spending all of our time today on phone and contacts. Down at the bottom, we have our settings. Up here, we have search. Search can be used to find any contact in the system, be it somebody from your company directory or a personal contact. Moving to the right side of that top bar, we've got our dial pad. We can pop the dial pad open from anywhere in the application. The first time that the dial pad is opened after a login session, it'll show you this message. Otherwise, it may ask you to confirm your emergency address just to make sure that everything is good to go. We'll close that and we'll minimize our dial pad and send it back home. The plus icon here allows for certain features to be accessed from no matter where you are in the application. And clicking up here on your little avatar or initials allows for you to set your status. Status is free text entry, supports an emoji along with it, and this status will be used for anybody else in your RingCentral system. In addition to your presence, the default is available, and the system will automatically mark you as busy when you receive a phone call through Avaya Cloud Office. You can also mark yourself as Do Not Disturb. When you turn on Do Not Disturb, any calls that come in would go directly to voicemail. It doesn't matter whether you turn on Do Not Disturb from the desktop app or from the mobile app. If it's on, and any calls that you receive are going to go to voicemail. We'll turn that off, and we'll get back into our presence menu here. The last thing that we have is a toggle to accept queue calls. Right now, this is on. That means if any calls come into any queues that I'm a member of, I'll receive those calls. If I turn it off, I'll be telling the system that I'm not available, and calls will be sent to other queue members. So now we're going to take a look at some useful settings. First thing that you'll want to do when you get the application installed is go into the File menu, and then you can select Launch Application on System Start. You do need to have the Avaya Cloud Office application open and be signed in to take calls on your computer. It can be minimized, you can send it down to the taskbar, but it does have to be running and you do have to be signed in. Next, we're going to come down to the settings wheel down here. And then under notifications and sounds, check your audio sources. Any audio devices that you already use on your computer should work just fine with the Avaya Cloud Office system. You'll be able to set up the microphone that you're going to use for your voice calls and the speaker that you're going to use as well. Generally speaking, any headset, headphones, as long as it's supported by your computer, should work just fine with Avaya Cloud Office. Next, we're going to jump directly into phone settings here. On the phone settings, we can choose to set the Avaya Cloud Office as the default app for calling and faxing, which will allow you to click to dial and fax out of applications. Then, we've got work hours that we can set up in here. So we're going to go ahead and hit edit and take a look at those work hours. Work hours tell the system when you're available. So I've got my work hours here set from 7 to 7. Any calls that come in during this time will automatically ring my applications. Any calls that come in outside of this time are going to go to voicemail or look at my after hours call handling. We support having a different schedule set up for each day. And we can also choose apply to all days or all weekdays once we've built out a schedule. One other thing to note for these work hours, if you are a member of a call queue, the queue will automatically mark you as unavailable outside of the work hours. We're going to close out of the work hours there. And then we're going to take a look at the heads-up display. The heads-up display is not turned on by default. If you're the kind of person who needs to keep track of your team's availability, make sure that folks are available when they need to be, or if you're the kind of person who transfers a lot of calls around, you're going to find the heads-up display to be very, very useful. I strongly recommend coming into your phone settings and turning on the heads-up display when you first install the application. Under incoming calls, we've got some options for call forwarding. We're going to go ahead and hit edit here and take a look at these. If you're assigned a desk phone, you'll see that desk phone listed here in the call forwarding as well. We're going to enable one of my desk phones and just take a look at how the call forwarding works. So in this case, the desktop and mobile apps are set to ring for 0 seconds. Now they'll actually ring for as long as a call is coming into my extension. This drop-down chooses how long of a delay they have before they begin ringing my next device. So in this case, my desktop and mobile app are going to ring at the same time as my desk phone. If you intend to primarily use your desk phone, your setup should look something like this. It's got 0 seconds, and then however long you'd like your desk phone to ring. For my corporate account, I've actually got it set like this. My apps ring for 15 seconds. So usually I've got my headset on and I'm ready to go for these training sessions. Then, if I don't pick up my app within 15 seconds, my desk phone starts ringing for 20 seconds, which hopefully gives me enough time to finish what I was doing and come and grab my phone. You can also add in additional entries, like a phone number, and have calls forwarded off to those entries. If you're using the mobile app, you don't need to configure anything in here. So if you're just using the desktop and the mobile app, call forwarding, don't need to worry about configuring anything here aside from your voicemail. Scrolling down from here, we can choose what happens when we miss a call, and we can send that off to another extension if we need to. By default, though, your missed calls are going to ring your voicemail and be deposited there for you. Then, we've also got a voicemail greeting that we can customize in here. Any previous greeting that was set up on the previous phone system is not going to carry over here. So if you'd like to have a custom greeting, you'll need to make sure to get that set up with the Avaya Cloud Office system. We're going to cancel out of here. And we're just going to give a quick rundown of those first time settings that we looked at. So under File, Launch Application on System Start. In Notifications and Sounds, check out your audio sources. In Phone, turn on the heads-up display. Make sure that your call forwarding, voicemail, and work hours are set up correctly. Before I move on into showing the actual application features, I'm going to pause for a moment. I'm going to see what questions we might have. If we don't have any in a moment, I'll just pick right back up on the demo. All right, doesn't seem like we have any questions, so we're going to jump over to the Phone tab here. On the Phone tab, I've got the heads-up display. It's going to be displayed prominently once you've got it enabled. The heads-up display can have up to 100 extensions added to it. If we come to the upper right-hand corner here, we can add an extension to it. The heads-up display is limited to extensions within your Avaya Cloud Office system. You won't be able to add phone numbers from outside of your system to this. We can pop out the heads-up display, and we're going to leave that popped out actually until we get done with our calling demonstration. We can resize it to show however many extensions we need. And from here, we can interact with those extensions, like giving them a phone call. Back to the main application window, under our call history, all calls, we'll show all calls we've made or received. Here, we have an example of a caller from outside of our system. It'll show their caller ID name here, where it says unknown. Below that, it'll show their phone number. We can click the little plus icon here to add them as a contact, or under the three dot button, we can choose to give them a phone call back, delete the entry, or we can block their number. Here, we have an example of somebody calling in who is a contact of ours. Instead of showing their caller ID information, it shows the name I've saved for them as a contact, and it shows a little icon here saying that they're an Avaya Cloud Office contact. We're going to use this as an opportunity to swap over to our contact screen and take a look around there. So on the left navigation bar, we're going to jump over into Contacts. And here we've got all of our contacts, which are going to be our personal contacts in our company directory. Your company directory is automatically kept up to date as users are added and removed by your administrator. You don't need to do anything to keep this up to date. Then, for any contacts that are from outside of the system, you'll be adding those in as personal contacts. So if you work with any third-party vendors, suppliers, anything like that, you can add them in as personal contacts. Once they've been added in as personal contacts, you'll also be able to search for that contact by name anytime you're making a call or sending a fax. You can also connect a Microsoft or Google account for your contacts as well. We'll go back over to the Phone tab. And so now we've seen how we can get a user added in as a contact here. This entry from Rose shows what a call coming in from another extension looks like. Rather than seeing a phone number, we see their extension number listed out. And rather than seeing the company caller ID, we see the person's name. We're going to take a quick jump over to voicemail. On the voicemail, we'll be able to play the voicemail We can read any transcript the system was able to generate, or under the three dot button here, we can interact with it same as we saw on our other calls. In the case of a spam voicemail, we can also choose to block the caller from here. We're going to go ahead and make a call out from the application. So to do that, we're going to open up the dial pad. And from here, we can either type in a name. This will search for names in the system that match, as well as names of any of our contacts that match. Or we can type in a phone number. We also support copy and paste out of here as well. One thing to note, when we're dialing out an outbound call, we don't need to use 9 or 1 to escape the system. You'll just use 10-digit dialing like normal. For anyone who's outside of the US, you'll dial the area code plus the local number. For international calling, you'll need to use a plus before you dial the country code. And of course, for anyone in your system, you'll just search for them by name, or you can dial their extension number. Below the phone number here, we have the call from option. This allows for you to choose the caller ID that you're making the call from. These numbers are made available by your administrator. Here, I've chosen my direct number, which means that when I call out, everybody sees the number that they can directly call to get back to me. Otherwise, I could choose the main company number or another number that's listed out in here. To make the call, we're just going to hit the enter key here. Now that my test system has answered the call, we're going to take a look at our call controls. We can mute and unmute the call from here. We can pop open a keypad in case we need to use touch-tone dialing for anything, like an IVR, or maybe we have to press 1 to leave a voicemail. When we're done with the touch-tone dialing, we'll just hit back here. Audio settings can be accessed while we're on a call, so if we didn't configure our audio devices before our first call, we can jump into these audio settings and choose the devices from the dropdown. You can also change the volume of just your calls without changing your system volume. So if you find out that these are a little bit too quiet, you can always turn it up a bit more, or vice versa. Here in the call controls, we can add in additional callers. We can add in up to 6 additional callers from here. If we're using the desk phone is limited to 3-way calling. So if we need to have anything more than 3-way calling, we'll want to be using the application. We'll go ahead and see how this works. So we're going to click the plus to add in another caller. Right now, I'm still speaking with my original caller. As soon as I click this phone icon to speak to the new person that I'm conferencing in, my original caller is going to go on hold, and I'll speak to the new person I'm conferencing in. I can end the conferencing request by pressing the red button here, or I can merge them in by pressing the orange button. We're going to end this conference call, and I'm going to send a call in from my test system over to the app here. It'll take just a moment for that to go through. So now that I've got a call coming in, I can see my incoming call screen, which shows the contact or caller ID information, along with the phone number they're calling from. In addition to this, I hear ringing, and I've got an operating system notification. If I click that operating system notification, the Avaya Cloud Office app is going to pop up front and center. For now, we're going to click Answer to get this call answered. Under More, we'll find some more advanced call controls. So here I'm going to place the call on hold. Once I've got the call on hold, I can open up a new line by coming over to the dial pad and giving it a click. We're going to go ahead and make a call out from here. And it'll take just a moment for my other system to get that call answered. So now that I've got that call answered, our call user interface here has changed just a little bit. So we're going to take a look up at the top. So we can see that I've got one active call and one call on hold. And now I've also got a new button called the call list. We're going to give that button a click. And so here we can see that we've got one active call and we've got one call on hold. We can only have one active call at a time. If we take a call off of hold, our active call will automatically go on hold. If we have a call on hold, we can also use the three-dot button here to merge it with the current call, which is just going to promote it up to a conference, same as we saw before. We're going to get another call sent in. It'll take just a moment here. So now that we've answered this new call, we're going to take a look at the heads-up display. While we're on an active call, the heads-up display is going to be really useful for us. We can use the heads-up display to easily transfer the call to any of the people that we see on here. So right now, doesn't look like any of the people on my heads-up display are available. So we can also see their presence listed out here. When we click on the transfer icon, it'll give us a few options. Ask first will be a warm or consultative transfer where we speak to the person before we transfer the call off. Transfer is going to be a cold or blind transfer. As soon as you click that, the call is off of your line and is being transferred. Then we have the transfer to voicemail option. This option is going to bypass the user's call handling and forwarding and send the call directly to voicemail. Under More, we can also access the transfer options from here. So from here, we can either type in a name, an extension number, or a phone number that we want to transfer the call over to. If you're transferring the call outside of your Avaya Cloud Office system, you will not have the option to transfer to voicemail. This option is only available when you're transferring to other extensions within your system. We're going to show what it looks like to use Ask First or a warm transfer. So we're going to click on Ask First here. And so now I'm speaking with Rose before I transfer the call. We've got multiple lines set up here, so I can tap on my original caller, and now I'm back speaking with them. Once I get the information that Rose asked for, I can open Rose's line back up. Then, if Rose chooses to not take the transfer, she can either end the call or I can hit the red phone button from here. Otherwise, I'll click the green button here to complete the transfer. Now that we've transferred that call off, we're going to get one more sent in. We'll answer this call. And the next thing I'm going to show you is the mobile app. So before we do that, I'm going to pause for a moment, see if anybody wants to put any questions in the sidebar chat. If there's anything that I went over too quickly in this demonstration or anything you're still not sure how to use. All right. We're going to go ahead and open up the mobile application now. So remember, today I'm showing you the mobile app on Android. The iOS app is very similar. There's just a couple of key differences that we'll show you once we get into the app. Avaya has multiple applications listed on your device's app store. Make sure that you're going for Avaya Cloud Office with this icon. Once you open up the application, the interface is going to be quite a bit different than the desktop app. We're going to take a look around, kind of get a brief orientation to it. Then we'll show how to use some of the features that we've seen on the desktop app today. So in the upper left-hand corner, on Android, we have a 3-line button. On iOS, this will be your profile picture. If you tap on it, it'll show you your presence information and your queue settings. We're going to go ahead and end this call for right now. And we're going to set ourselves to Do Not Disturb from the mobile app. When we set Do Not Disturb on from either application, we'll see the reminder banner on both apps. When we turn it off from either application, it's turned off from both of them. So Do Not Disturb is an extension-wide setting. When it's on, it's on. Any calls that come into your extension are going to go directly to voicemail. You can also turn it off from either application. Back under the 3-line button here, we can set our status and change our queue status, as well as find any account features that we don't see listed at the bottom of the app. Under Settings, we can change our notification ringtones, change our themes, and under Phone, we've got a lot of the same options that we saw on the desktop application as well. One thing to note under the phone settings, you can silence calls just for the mobile app. If you have your phone out, you're already taking calls on your computer, and you don't want the phone to ring, come into the settings here and choose Silence Incoming Calls. When you come back to the main app window, it'll give you a reminder here that your incoming calls are silenced, and that you can enable them just by tapping it. To navigate through our account features, we'll see them listed down at the bottom of the screen. Then, we can navigate through subsets of those features up here at the top. When you first install the Avaya Cloud Office application on your mobile device, it will ask for permission to view your device's contacts. That permission can safely be denied, and if you do accept it, it's only using that to show you those contacts on the app. Those contacts are not sent anywhere, and they're not uploaded anywhere. We're going to jump back over to Phone here. Here we've got our recent calls, and up at the top, we've got our voicemail. Same as we saw on the desktop computer. We can interact with the voicemail, block and unblock, and so on. And if we tap on it, we can listen to it, and excuse me, and read any transcript that the system was able to generate. We'll hit back, and now we're going to make a call. Same as we saw before, we can either dial in the phone number, or we can click on our little contacts icon up here to search through any of our personal contacts or our company contacts. Any personal contacts that we add to our Avaya Cloud Office system, like on the desktop app, will show here on the mobile app as well. When we dial out a phone number, we don't need to use 9 or 1 to get out of the system. We're just using area code plus local number. We're going to go ahead and make that call out. And now that we've made a call out, we have our call controls. They look just about the same as they did on the desktop application. The main difference here is under More. And we have a new option called Switch to Carrier. Avaya Cloud Office is a voice over IP system. That means that when you dial out a call, we're using the internet. If you're connected to Wi Fi, we'll use your Wi Fi. If you're not connected to Wi Fi, we'll use mobile data. Switch to carrier allows for us to transfer the call off of data and transfer it directly to our mobile number, so that way we're using our minutes instead. So if you're roaming, or if you don't want to go through all of your data, you can select switch to carrier. It'll have you confirm your phone number the first time that you're doing it, and then it'll just transfer that call directly off to your phone number. If you've got a keen eye, you've noticed that the desktop application sees that we're on a call on the mobile app. So here we can select switch call to this device, and we can pull the call from the mobile application. This works both ways. So if you start a call on desktop, you know it's going to be a long call, like to get up, stretch your legs, go for a quick walk. You can swap the call over to the mobile app, and you can do this all day if you wanted to. When this happens, your caller does not go on hold. They don't hear a tone. This is seamless. We're going to end that call there, and we're going to go ahead and lock our phone. Oh, still getting used to the new version of Android here. We're going to lock our phone, and then we're going to send a call in while the phone's locked so we can see what that looks like. On Android, you'll see a custom window come up when a call comes in. It'll show you the name of the contact, along with their caller ID information, and the number that they dialed to reach you. On iOS, you'll see all of the same information for the caller, but up at the top, you'll see Avaya Cloud Office, and it'll have the regular slide to answer screen. So on Android, you'll see a custom screen here. On iOS, you'll see the basic slide to answer screen with some additional information. We'll get one more call sent in, we'll get it answered. So now that we've answered the call, our phone is still locked, but we're on the business call. If we need to unlock our phone, we've got to go back to our main screen and unlock the device like we normally would. So we're going to go ahead and get that unlocked. Oh. Would it help if I put the code in correctly? And so now that we've got that unlocked and we've got our desktop application open, I'm mostly done with today's training itinerary. If there's anything else that you'd like to see before I kind of start closing out the presentation here, please feel free to ask. If there's any workflows that you do on the day-to-day basis that you're not sure how to do on the Avaya Cloud Office system, any features that you use on your current phone system, just feel free to ask for anything else that you might need. All right, doesn't seem like we have any questions here.
No,
If
it
any come
doesn't.
up, feel free to put them in the sidebar chat. Happy to help out. Now that our training is wrapped up, we have additional resources available. Avaya has some e-learning content that we might find useful, and we also have the Avaya support documentation. Avaya support documentation here is going to give you an explanation of how to use anything on the system or help troubleshoot any issues. And the Avaya e-learning is intended to help bring you right back up to speed on anything that you might have learned today and forget before we go live. In the sidebar, I'm going to put a link to a training survey. We appreciate any feedback that you can provide. It should take about 30 seconds to get that completed. If there are any questions, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, we're done with today's training session and you're free to go. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for the time today, James. It was very informative.
Happy to help out.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
My pleasure,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Thank you,
Thank
James.
you. Bye-bye.
Great.
Bye, all.
James, I just would like to say that your voice is breathtaking.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Happy to help out.